There's a shift happening right now, and a lot of people are just starting to realize it. Not quietly, not behind the scenes, out loud, on camera, and in ways that you can't really ignore anymore. Because what you're about to see isn't just random frustration, it's people reacting in real time to decisions that are starting to hit closer to home.
Excuse me, Donald Jontavius Trump, when you said you was gonna drain the swamp, I figured you was gonna go after the corrupt politicians that are in our government. I didn't know you were referring to draining Benjamin Netanyahu's fucking balls. Because honestly, bruh, it feels like the only thing that's being drained right now is my bank account. The are we doing?
I got a question, Mr. Trump. It's $4.99 a gallon. Now, you're always talking about we got all the oil. Why aren't we turning that reserve on, homie? See, America depends on too many other people, and then we start bombing them, and we wonder why the gas goes up. Now, this ain't no hating on you or nothing. This is a simple question. Food ain't never went down. Gas ain't going down. So, what the is you doing?
What's happening right now is less about politics and more about expectations versus reality. For a long time, a lot of messaging around the economy, policy decisions, and leadership has been centered around strength, control, and long-term benefit. But what we're starting to see now is what happens when those promises run into everyday life. And that's where things start to change. Because when policies move from headlines into your wallet, your job, and your cost of living, that's when people stop talking in theory and start reacting based on experience. We're seeing it across multiple areas right now. Rising costs that don't seem to match what people were told. Uncertainty in job markets, concerns about international decisions that ripple back into domestic life, whether that's through energy, supply chains, or overall economic stability. And more importantly, people are starting to connect those dots.
See, we told you how it was going to begin, and then we told you how it was going to end. Look at this shit.
Very happy and excited that Trump won. As far as financially, obviously nothing's really changed. We're still under the Biden administration, but I know that it is coming. And so I admit I regret my vote for Donald Trump. I regret it because I needed these changes sooner. I needed the prices to go down sooner so that I didn't drain out my big...
See, some of y'all are still in the around and find out stage. See, most of y'all thought that when he was elected, he was going to change everything for you. Didn't realize that his first 100 days, he didn't give two shits about you. Every executive order was for something else besides what you thought it was going to be for. He's a businessman, so I'm not even sure why you guys are even surprised. These type of people don't go through everyday American shit. You thought he was going to feel your pain or he was going to help you out with what you was going through? Good old Daddy Donnie got your ass again. Hey, as I always say, this is who y'all voted for.
There's also something else happening here that doesn't get talked about enough. And that's the gap between messaging and lived reality. Because it's one thing to hear that things are improving. It's another thing to feel like things are getting harder. And when those two don't match, people start asking questions. Not necessarily because they've changed who they are, but because their situation has changed. And this is where it gets interesting, because what you're seeing in these clips isn't necessarily a full shift in identity or belief. It's a reaction, a moment of pause, a moment where people are saying, wait, is this actually what I expected? And those moments matter, because historically, big shifts don't start all at once. They start like this, with conversations, with doubt, with people speaking up, even if it's just a little at first.
Do you regret your vote right now?
Well, between him and her, I thought he was the better choice, but honestly, I miss my Uncle Joe. I was a nobody, and I was balling then. Now, I couldn't even tell you, I couldn't even show you $5 in my pocket.
We spoke to Trump voters here in Florida who are ticked off about the fact that the gas prices in the state have gone up by an average of about 60 cents within just a week.
I would just wish he'd keep up on his campaign promise and say he was going to put it under $3. He'd end that war so fast. But here it is, 5 years later, helping his buddy out get his more money. And then never mind charging us Americans all sorts of money for fuel that you just stole from Venezuela?
And those gas prices are getting higher because of volatile oil prices due to the war in Iran, a war that these Trump voters tell us they hope wraps up quickly.
If I could, speak to the president, I'd just encourage him to finish up this war and get us back to a safe world.
He's saying about for our safety, leave somebody alone, they won't bother you.
Hopefully this conflict over there will end, it's just unfortunate.
The overall vibe here at the gas pump amongst these Trump voters is they feel like the economy is not going well right now.
At the moment, I'm really out of work.
My hope is that it's temporary and it doesn't last for too long and oil prices come back down. That's my hope.
Now, to be fair, every administration, every leadership cycle, every major policy shift comes with trade-offs. That's not new. What is different right now is how fast people are able to share their reactions and how visible those reactions have become. Because platforms like TikTok don't wait for official narratives. They show real-time responses, unfiltered, unpolished, and sometimes uncomfortable. And when you put all of this together, it starts to paint a bigger picture, not just about politics, but about accountability, expectations, and how people respond when those expectations don't line up with reality. This doesn't mean everyone feels the same way. It doesn't mean there's one single narrative, but it does mean something is happening, and more people are paying attention. Because once people start asking questions, it's hard to go back to not asking them.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump is facing a growing issue within his own party right now over the war in Iran, the prices at the pump, and more. There's an increasing number of Republican voters who voted for Donald Trump who are furious at him for the fact that gas prices are rising substantially up to over $3.70 a gallon of gas in the United States, the highest in over a year. At the same time, you have Republicans in Congress noting that there could be a civil war that breaks out if Donald Trump abandons the NATO alliance. That's what Congressman Don Bacon said on CNN, that it would completely devastate the Republican Party as we know it for years to come if Trump decides to pull the United States out of NATO or decimate the alliance in some way, shape, or form. And he says he's not the only one thinking this. The problems are growing quickly. Polling for this war is not great for the president. Republicans in Congress are worried about what he's doing to our alliances. Republican voters are having buyer's remorse for voting for him. And it all comes ahead of a midterm election that is supposed to already be bad for the president because of just historical trends. But current trends suggest it could be even worse. Spread the word, follow for more.
So what you're seeing right now isn't just frustration, it's awareness. It's people taking a step back and reassessing what's actually happening around them. And the real question is this just a moment or is this the beginning of something bigger? Let me know in the comments, are people overreacting or are they finally starting to notice what's really going on? And tell me where you're watching from. I want to see how this is affecting people everywhere. And if you made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, and stick around because we're breaking all of this down as it happens.